how we start to record.
Yeah.
So first, you can open our script. Open our script. And then open source. Sorry. No, it's not new. Open a file. Sorry, I'm sorry. A file open. So open file and go to the desktop and click class 2 out. The file you just download and save on your desktop and open it. Okay, so now you can see all the script for tonight. So we'll do it one by one. Okay. Now remember last time we have this is a console. You can type the command, and we have the file, and then the environment at the top. And this is another window that we did not use last time. This is what the script editor. Because last time we all used command. In the command, we type it in the console. But now we start to do program. So that's why we use the editor to put the program onto the editor, and then we can edit. And after our edit, we can run. We will run the program. Okay, I will show you how to run. But this is the things that we will use a lot tonight for edit your program and run through this interface. Okay. Second things I want to show you is to introduce a new command for you. Because tonight we will have a lot of displays of results. So I will want to introduce a command called paste 0. Paste 0. So then now we type on to the command like paste 0. So basically, this command can combine multiple parts of result into one thing and allow you to display. For example, paste 0 means you combine tonight we have comma a basic coding for journalist class. Full stop. Then we'll combine two parts of string into one command and get it displayed. So, but we can also put the variable into paste. For example, now we define a command called course is equals to basic coding for journalist. Stop. So now this class is a variable holding a string basic coding for journalist. So now we can paste 0. Tonight we have a space and then put class at the end instead. So now we can put a variable into the paste 0 and you press enter, you'll get the same result. We combine the variable outcome and the thing we define into a one outcome. So that's why, because today we will display a lot of this kind of command, so you reduce this way for this. So, so there is another more general version of paste is without 0. It's paste, but you have to define another parameter. We'll pass a parameter for the separator. Separator is equal to, for example, colon. That means for every part of your string, you put a colon in between. Colon in between. So if you enter, so we put a colon between the two parts of this. But tonight we don't need to use this. We use the paste series. That we only put all the things together without any separate between different parts of the program. Okay, but this is for general use. In case because sometimes if you want to put a comma in between each one, and you can put a separator into comma or any others of the punctuation. But tonight we just use the paste symbol. Paste symbol for the comma. Okay. Second thing. The last thing is the large bracket. So tonight we will use a lot of command to try to bracket by the large bracket. Last time we used a lot of bracket, a small bracket, to indicate a function or indicate a command. But tonight we use a lot of large bracket. Large bracket is used when you want to define a number of different commands into a single group of commands. For example, we want to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 3 lines of code. You use a large bracket to define. This is a number. They run at the same time. They run a sequence between the group. So tonight I will show you if for the for loop, you can have for loop and while loop, and even the function, we all use the large bracket to bracket all of them. The large bracket means they are all as a unit within the definition of that command. Okay? So this is the thing for tonight. And then next I will start the first thing about the if and else. Okay? So next one. So the first one is if else. Basically no then. Then is basically if else. Is in how you define something. You want to tell the computer if something happened or if something is true. Do this part. Otherwise, do another part. Okay? This is what you want to tell the computer to do. If the number is larger than 3, so do this part. Otherwise, go do this part. If the newspaper is New York Times, do this part. Otherwise, do the other. So this is what you can define in the program to ask the computer to do. Okay? This is another second syntax for if else. Is you can make it even more complicated. You can compare the condition 1 and by 1. 1 and only 1. So if the condition 1 satisfied, do this part. Else, that means if not satisfied, do another second comparison. Else, if the thing happened, do this part. Otherwise, do another part. So you can make it compare two conditions in the same sentence. For example, if the number larger than 3, do this part. Otherwise, if number less than 1, do this part. Otherwise, do this part. So this is the way we define syntax. This is if else. Okay, give the first example. You can go to slide 1, and also you can go to the outlook here. Is that the better way to make it larger? Yes, here. Oh yeah, yes. Now you can see. Now this is for slide 5. If else. So this is now first line. You can see the data frame we defined. You used last week, right? We defined there are 3 different types of newspaper: New York Times, Wall Street Journal, USA Today, and the data frame has 3 variables. First is the name. Second is the circulation. Circulation number is 1.2, 3.4, 5.6, and national. National means the national paper or not, true or false. So we define this. So now I want to ask the computer to do a thing for me. I want the computer to help me to check if the paper, the circulation is larger than 3 million. Larger than 3 million. If larger than 3 million, display a line to show that newspaper name has more than 3 million in circulation. I want to display the name of the paper one by one for each number of circulation. For example, at first I want to check New York Times. Second, I check the Wall Street Journal. The third is to check USA Today. Okay, so based on the syntax we learned in the previous line, we have if, and then had the bracket. This is the bracket to define the condition. To define a condition. Remember last time we can define a logical operation by a number, a certain expression, larger than, smaller than, or equal a number, and then we generate true or false. Right? So if the X dollar circulation bracket 1, that means it's the first. That means the New York Times. If the New York Times, the circulation is larger than 3 million. This expression means the X circulation. X is the data frame referring to the variable circulation, and find the first element, which is the New York Times circulation. If New York Times circulation larger than 3, do the part within the bracket. Do the part within the bracket. Print page 0. That means combine. Combine both parts. Combine the name of the newspaper, which is New York Times, has more than 3 million in circulation. Okay? Question?
So between the square brackets.
Square bracket. You mean?
Between the square brackets, we have the.
You mean this one?
Yeah.
This is the.
Inside the square brackets, we have the position in the array.
Right, it's an array. Because it is the data frame. Data frame is defined by different variable, and we have 3 elements. So square bracket 1 means the first. If the 2 is the second. The first one is now based on our definition New York Times. Thank you.
And we always have view X and name.
Name is based on the definition of the first here. Name is the first variable of the data frame. And the second is circulation. And the third is the national.
Yeah, sorry, I meant the X in dollars.
X dollars, X is the data frame, and use the dollar to refer to each individual variable. So in this case, we have 3 variables: name, circulation, and national. So you use dollar to refer to the variable name. Remember last time we can use the data frame and use the dollar to refer to the variable, and then you can use the index to refer to individual items. Okay? Okay, let's do it together. Now, we try to run this part of program. So, how to do it? We can simply highlight those you want to run, and then here you see a run. Just click. Yeah. You see nothing, right? Because the New York Times, the circulation is 1.2, right? It's less than 3. That means if you do the first part, the number basically is not larger than 3. So then it doesn't, the part that you need to run that part. It is not satisfy the condition, so that's not. Okay, so how about the second? Now we change the number from 1 to 2. That means now you try to do the condition check for the Wall Street Journal. Okay? So if you read the number here is 3.4. So it sounds like it's larger than 3. So it sounds like we will see the result. So let's see. So we select it, run. Then you'll see the result. New York Times has more than 3 million in circulation because you satisfy the conditions larger than 3, and then you display the number. Okay. Then the last one, we run the USA Today. So now we run it. So since USA Today has, okay, has 5.6 million circulation, so it's larger than 3, so that we display the number. Okay, so I want you, I want you to modify the code. Now I want you to check to display all the newspaper with circulation more than 5 million. 5 million. So can you modify the code to run to show the result showing the name and display of all the newspapers with more than 5 million circulation. You can copy and paste maybe you can put it in a separate file. Open another file, open another, you can open a new R script here and cut and paste some part into, yes, cut and paste into, cut and paste. For example, this one into another file and do the modification. Paste. Paste. Copy. Paste. Okay. And then you modify here and then run it again. Let us know if you have any problem. Oh.
Because the console is still running. So as long as the console is still running, the data is
Okay, I think it's not that difficult, right? You can just simply to change now to 5 and also change to 5 million, 5 million, and 5 millions. Okay, so then we run again. So what do you expect? Which newspaper will see to display the result? Only USA Today, right? It's because it's only newspaper with more than 5 million circulation. So let's try to run it. Yes, there's only one. Yes. Good question. I will do it in the next user forum. I will tell you how to do it. So good question. It doesn't make sense. You need to repeat and do 3 times, but I will do it in a minute when I do it for you.
Yeah, then there is a closing curly bracket after the fold. Curly bracket. Yeah, actually we match up all the curly brackets. Yeah, but
Any question?
you need to first close. No, then twice.
Okay, done? Okay, I move on. Okay? So now we try to build else into the commands. Because in the first, we just run, yes, do it. Now I try to run else. It's not, otherwise we do another one. So now we do another part to define the things like this. So we have to basically the same part at the first few lines to define if the number larger than 3, run more than 3. But else, I say less than 3. Less than 3. So this is to run, that means we check each newspaper. If the calculation larger than 3, run the first part. Less than it, run the second part. Okay, so this is, okay. Do the first part. You can refer to the class 2 and then this part. We do the basically is check the New York Times. To check the New York Times circulation larger than 3 and then say more than 3 million. Less than 3 and then display less than 3 million. So you run. So since New York Times have 1.2, that means less than 3, that means you run the else. Okay, then we do one more additional check. We want to more precise, not just less than 3, not just less than 3 or more than 3. I want to check, give another condition. Check is more than 3, display more than 3. But if else, the number is larger than 1, that means I want to show is something between 1 to 3. I want to be more precise, to know whether or not it's more than 3 or between 1 to 3. So that means I developed in what else if the number larger than 1, but not, is okay. If you run this part, that means it's larger than 3, right? If else, that means it's less than 3. Less than 3, but more than 1. That means the number is 1, 2, 3 million, right? So that's why in this same statement, I display has between 1 to 3 million. So how about, okay, let's run it first. Let's run this part and see the result. So you highlight this part and run. So New York Times has between 1 to 3 million in circulation. Right? Okay, can you help me to modify the code to check the Wall Street Journal?
Just change the number.
Hmm?
Just change the number.
Okay, let's change. And run, tell me what result you get.
So every number in square bracket, we change it to 2.
Right, yeah. Do it. Try to do it. Okay, now you just copy, go to another screen. As you just mentioned, now you change to all num1 to 2, right? This is a Wall Street Journal. And then bracket, highlight and run. Wall Street Journal has 3 point something, right? So it's more than 3 million. So that's why you see this 3 million in circulation. So now I want you to modify the code. This time to check the USA Today. But I want to check if the number is more than 10 million or between 5 to 10 million. Check two conditions is one is whether or not it's more than 10 million, and then second to see whether or not it's between 5 to 10 million. Can you modify the code to do for the USA Today and check two conditions? One is more than 10. Second, whether or not it's between 5 to 10. Hmm?
For which outlet?
USA. Let me know if you have any questions. Okay. Good. So highlight and run. So yesterday today has between 5 to 10 million in circulation. So the code is here. Good. Any question? No problem. Good. Okay. Then, okay, that's it for if else. Now we move on to another one. It's for loop. So you just raise a good question. Now, because when we want to check Euro Times, Wall Street Journal, USA Today, we need to do 1, 1, 1. We need to repeat code for 3 times. But basically, it's exactly the idea of use loop. This is a loop for the number to do 1, 2, 3. The only change for each index is from 1 to 2 to 3, right? 1 to New Time, Wall Street Journal, USA Today. Now, this is a command called for loop. Basically, you ask the computer to do for you for a sequence of numbers. In this case, it's 1, 2, 3. You ask the computer to do 1, 2, 3 for me. Do the same thing. We just give a variable to define a number as a verb. Then you can ask the computer to do it. So for loop, take an integer variables and assign it successive values for a sequence of vectors. So for in this case, we assign the number, we save the index to run from 1 2, 3. One for New York Times, Wall Street Journal, and USA Today. To do 3 times. For loop are most commonly used for the iterating over the element or object. So loop take the I integer and then in each iteration of loop give away 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and then exit. After running for the time defined by for loop and exit, finish. So the syntax is something like this. For, put a bracket between the index. Index is the variable you define for the use within this loop. So every time you refer index, this variable name within this loop is defined by this number. So, and then in, the number in a sequence. Remember last time we defined colon. Colon means from which number to another number. That means from 1 to 100. So that means for the index in 1 to 100, that means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 until 100. And each number run this code, bracket by the large bracket. Within all the large bracket, run the that kind of code. So if you put this, run this code, do what you expect to see. If I run this code, what do you expect to see? Sorry? Yeah, print 1 to 100. Print 1, print 2, print 3, print 100. And then print out all 1 to 100 in the screen. This is for loop. Okay? No problem. Okay, let's start an example. So now, exactly what you want. Now I don't want to do the code for 3 times. Now I do a for loop. To define the things. Cool. For loop. Here. Define for loop. So now I for and then define a bracket. Here. So I define a variable called I. This is defined by I. You can use any number, any variable name. You can use index, you can use name, whatever. But you need to use I within the bracket. That's defined only by I. In is a part of the syntax of for loop. 1 to number of row of x. Remember last time we used the number of rows means how many items. How many items of data frame x, right? Number of row, number of column. Number of column means number of variables. Number of row means how many items. Yeah. So that makes it more generic. So number of row of x, that means 1 to 3, right? So for each 1 to 3, run the following part of the code. This code. So now I change the number index. Previously we changed the index number 1, 2, 3 and run it 3 times. Now I put the I instead into the index bracket, circle bracket. I here. And then we run it. So that means this code can help you to run for New York Times, Wall Street Journal, and USA Today one by one. But you don't need to copy the code for 3 times. You run it 3 times using the loop. Okay? So you can now highlight and then run. You'll come up with the result all at once. You don't need to do it one by one. New York Times between 1 to 3. Wall Street Journal have more than 3, and USA Today have more than 3. So any questions? Any exercise are getting like that to modify code. modify the variable name.
Instead of circulation, try
Yeah.
decimal.
Okay, next. Is that yes. Let's stick to the circulation.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's do a small modification of the code. First, I want you to change the variable name of the index to J. No, I'm sorry, because it's just as an exercise. I want to make sure you understand the role of the variable within the bracket. It looks silly, but it's something as an exercise. You have to understand the index, which index you should correct. And then, okay, I don't want you to display all. I just want you to display the last two in favor. I don't want you to display all 1, 2, 3. To display to Wall Street Journal and USA Today. So two modifications. Okay, let's try. Copy. Paste. Okay. So first, modify into another variable name. For example, J. Here J. Okay, this is the index. This is a for loop to change the index. Okay, now, second, I don't want to show New York Times. I just want to show Wall Street Journal and the USA Today. So make the loop not from 1 to 3. Make it to 2 to 3. So start from 2. So then, if you run it, you just show the last 2. By the same token, if you don't want the 1 to 3, you can modify the 1 to 2. Huh?
How can we do 1 and 3?
1 and 3. Oh, good question.
Not 1 to 2 or 2 to 3 because
You mean a 1 or 2 or 3? 1, 2, 3.
not 1 to 2, not 2 to 3, but 1
And 3. 1 and 3. Yes, good question. How do 1 and 3, right? So you can remember last time I teach you how to combine number into a vector. Use a command called C, right? So in the command line, for example, C 1 3, you come up a vector 1 3. Now you change. You can change here become C. C stands for combine. 1 3. And then you come up only 1 3. Or you want to display in different order. I don't want the 1 2 3. I don't 3 1 3. 2 3 1 3. So you can run New York Times first. Sorry, you run the Wall Street Journal first, and then New York Times, and then USA. So you can change the order based on what you want. Basically, yeah, I can teach you another command called sequence. Sequence, the command provides 3 parameter. Is the from 3 to 1, and each time -1. So you come up with a vector called 3 to 1. So you can define different kinds of sequence based on your definition of the command. For loop, you can based on what you want. You do the order based on what you define. Sequence, the SEQ. The first is from 3 to 1. Every time -1. The last one is -1. So you define a sequence like so. You will sequence 10 to 6 -1 means 10 to 6. So that means you can also define into the here is sequence 3 to 1. Each time -1. So it's exactly in reverse order. Your USA Today first, and then Wall Street Journal, and then your time.
What if we have 100 numbers, 100 data, and we want to the first 30 of it and the last 30?
Okay, the question is, in case you have 100 entries, so you want to have the first 3 and the last 3. Okay, so I will put it this way. First 3 is easy, 1 to 3, right? First 3 is, and then you combine. I think you can combine. Okay, for example, you have the variable called y. You have 100 entry. Okay, so you have 100 entry. So now you want to have 1 to 3 and then last 3. So you can combine 1 to 3 and then from the we have a command called length. Length of the y minus 2 to length of y. Oh, sorry. Yeah. So that means you combine 1 to 3, and then the length of y. Length of y means 100 in this case. Length is measure the length of the variable, and then because you have last 3, right? Last 3 means -2. And then 2 colon 2 length of y. That means to 100. That means from 98 to 100. You combine both. You can put this into your for loop in that sequence. And then you can run 1, 2, 3, 98, 99, and so on. Good question. Yeah, thank you. I hope you can have this kind of mindset to think question that I can demonstrate how to do all, in addition to what I have prepared. Done? Okay? Move on. Okay, so next one is about another command called while. While loop. It's also a loop. But now the loop is determined, whether or not you run the loop is determined by a condition defined by you. Like if followed by a condition. Now, while a condition. If the condition is true, satisfied, run this loop. After run this loop, we'll check the condition again. We'll check the condition again. If the condition is satisfied, run again. And then check again, run again, check again, run again, until the condition isn't satisfied. And exit. Exit the loop. Okay? So the difference between for loop and while loop is for loop, it will run based on the sequence you define. It will run for anything you define. You ask you to run 100 times, run 100 times. But for while loop, it's not determined by a sequence. It's determined by a condition. If the condition is satisfied, run. Not satisfied, exit. Okay? So this now for this loop, you assign 0 to a variable called count. Right? First assign 0, and then check the condition. Okay? 0 of course less than 10. Right? So you run it, print it, and count is equal to count plus 1. That means you add 1. So 0 and then 1. And then check again, run. Check again, run. Check again, run. Until the count is not less than 10. Okay? So, if I run this code, what will you see? Right? 0 to 9. Good. You can see display 0 to 9. Not 10. Because when the count is equal to 10, check it, it's not satisfied. Don't run it and exit. So that's why you can see 0, 1 to 9, rather than 10. Okay? Get it? Good. So now let's start. Why? So let's start an example. The round example. No, so now I want to check the conditions of. I want to check sequentially from the first first paper, second and third test. How many of them in sequence they are national papers? Because we have a command, we have the verbal, we have the definition of whether or not it's a national paper. So we want to check if it's true, that means it's a national paper, display the name. That paper is a national paper. And then check the other until we find out that the one is not a national paper, exit. Okay? So that's why we first start the index is equal to 1. You check the first one. And then while X national the first item. Because the definitions of the national is true or false. That means it is a logical item, true or false. That you can put it into the condition, while or if. Put it here. So you check this one, true, run this file. And then we add 1 to the I. That means from 1 to 2. And then check again. If satisfied, run. And then add, check again, and run until it's not satisfied and exit. Okay, so let's now we select this program, the 5 lines of code, and run. Okay, because first, New York Times is a national paper display, and then second, National River display, and the third, USA Today is not a national paper. Exit. So that's why you can see this one. Okay, now I want you to modify it. Now it's a little bit more modification. Now I want you to find out the first. To find out the first newspaper has circulation larger than 5 minutes. I want you to search the whole sequence of of the data from the beginning to find the first newspaper has circulation more than 5 minutes. And display the result. Let us know if you need help.
It's fine.
You need to find the first paper that's more than 5.
Five, more than five. And try that and see whether there is something more. Yeah, it's not maybe wrong.
Try to think the
Yeah.
operation of value.
It's the same one.
Yeah, actually, what is going on here? Let's say, if the index counts one, right? So you need to check whether the circulation, the first item of circulation is larger than less than 5. Right? You haven't even, in your file, you haven't even compared numbers. If you not expand,
So how do I do it?
yeah, for example, having some
Try to think like a computer. To think if you are a computer, you run this task, what will happen? And see if you can find what exactly you find the station.
more than 5. That's one. I traced the I is extracting which this I is the index of the that's right. Yeah, so now this one is the first I. No, that's this phase. One is the first I. Circuit.
Good time. In the last
Second.
or just build in a field, okay? Every time this number is less than
I is
50,
one, right?
and then one,
And at the beginning, I is one.
in case you get this
Inside this one, the
It's
first
not
thing
an
you
entry.
do is to evaluate whether
but
this
in
one
fact,
is small.
better. Just
I is
for
one.
the system.
So it is actually doing that.
So if this is more than this is really unwise. But I put it in another
This is true.
like this. Oh,
So it's true. If
That
it
means
is true, you will run it or the thing inside.
and then you say one. But anyway,
So if you run this
another way to do it is we
pre
can't until all found the less
and
than
then
5 minutes
I
and then run the last one.
one. So now I is two. And then it will go back to here and then yeah, because I is so because after you run a green statement,
Yes.
I is equal to I plus 1. So 1 is 2 and then put it back to I.
It's more than 5.
Yeah, it's equal to so I
Say, but if you write like this,
go back
in the first,
to this file
you find out the first new time has less than 5, and exit. And then never run,
it's been done, right? So
right?
it's
So now that means
one
you need to
inside
maintain plus the finger rule.
and then in
When the number is less than,
right?
until you find out you exit and run. Right? And then never run.
I this one so I is 3.
Right?
So now this is false. So this condition is false.
But you understand? You missed the opportunity. Last one.
Yeah, so if you not
Okay.
phrase
Oh, that's O-D-I-O-S. It's spelling error. Check your spelling. Come on, everybody, get the well wrong spelling. Yeah, in case you get it right, if your classmates help, you can help. Because teaching itself is a good learning process. If you know how to teach, that means you know well.
So I would expect that the answer was actually was great, was yeah, the anticipated result of this one. Yeah.
It should be another method, say if X situation is more than 2. Between. That's between.
What as I explained, the anticipated result of the one. Yeah. So in the for when you run the first time for the single line, it should not display anything, but the loop should still run. Yeah. Next one. There's comment, meaning I don't want to run it.
Okay, so let me let me show you how to do all. Okay, let me finish first.
Because it is the first paper with circulation by so after the group, so yeah, you can just delete it if you like. And I suggest you train.
Hey, one comment, one thing is you see the part here is this one is a comment. This one a comment. If you put the how to pronounce this how to pronounce this symbol? It's a hash. Oh, sorry, hash. It's hash, and then some text. You take it as a comment. That means you can type it into your command, and then it reminds you when you do the program. So it will run. The program will not run that part, but just for you to read. It's a good practice to do autocorrect comments. After each line, then remind you why you put that in such a way. This is a comment. Hash comment. Because when you do this group, when you run from the first one to the one, your one is less than 1, right? So that is the group. And that's why you can answer. So because the tricky part of this exercise is we need to maintain within the group for those less than 1. Until you find one is more than 5, it's great. Yeah. More than 5, if Okay, done. Any question? You still go there. So now, okay, I say again. Now the tricky part of this exercise, you need to check within the loop to find all those less than 5 minutes until you find it free. So that's why this is you check within the loop in less than 5 minutes, and then keep checking until you find the index more than 5, and then it's free. Yeah, because the thing is, okay, now you check first new times, right? New time less than this one, and then previous. But this is not more than 5 minutes. This is less than 4 minutes. So the better way is doing it like here. You check, every time you check the less than 5, don't distract. You don't need to distract. You only need to run for more than 5 minutes, right? So check and check and check until you find more than 5. The last statement is free. Guys, you can get it. Okay? Okay, move on. Next one. Next one is I think it's one of the most important part of all kind of program. You define your own function. You define your own functions. Function is the way that you create using command function, bracket. I will show you the syntax. And then you can pass some arguments to the function. So basically, it's a black box. You define a black box. You put something in, and something come out. So you define your function, and ask the computer to do this function again. You can call. You can just call, and then you can do the function. So you can pass into the function, and the return value is the last statement in the function value to be evaluated. That means the last things of the expression you return as the function result. Or it's another command called return. Return bracket, everything within the bracket, return as a result. So this is the syntax. First, you define a name. You give the function a name. That's based on you find just like a variable. You define name of a function, and then assign function. This is the name. Function bracket. Brackets is all the arguments you want to pass to the function. So you put the name here. So every name within this list of arguments used within this bracket. Large bracket. Within this large bracket, use all this number for the calculation. After run all the calculation, do all the things, the last sentence, last expression, return as a result. Or you return bracket, put the result between. Okay? This is the syntax. But better to show you an example. This one. So now I want to define a function to check each individual, a given name. I want to input the name of the newspaper and check if whether or not it is a national paper. Okay, so that's why I define define a command called is _national_paper. This is my function. This is the function name. I define. I pick a function name. Assign function. And the bracket. Bracket is, and then you put the argument, the thing pass into the function and then run. And then large bracket. So for each pass parameter, you run the part within the bracket. And then return the last expression, that means this one, to the result. Okay? So that means then I need to a little bit explanation of did we mention about this one? Yeah. remember the meaning of this equals two equal sign for 2 times? It's compare. Equals. It's equal. So I compare the name of the vector. This is a vector, right? The vector name vector, New York Times, Wall Street Journal, and USA Today, whether or not is equal to the name. So that means this is a vector, right? You compare it's a name. Then return a vector logic, true or false. True or false. That means if the name is New York Times, true, false, false. If the name is Wall Street Journal, false, true, false. If this is the name is USA Today, false, false, true. Right? So then you have the result of true, false, and put it back to find the national X national, which you find out whether or not all those national papers is displayed. And then you come up to display the result. So this is the way how we check whether or not the national paper of the name. Okay, for example, if you run this part and you run, after run this part, you don't see any result because it's just to define a function. If you want to see, you can have a command called list. You can see you already define one your function name here, and also can you see it in the environment? Can you see it in? No, you can't see it in the environment. So this is the only way you can see what function you define, right? Is a list. Okay. So if you want to see the function you define, you can just type list. And if you want to know the code you define for the program, you can just type the name. And you will display what you define, the function name. Okay, this is the function name you define. So now you can run the program. Now you pass New York Times. You pass the name New York Times into the function. That means you check if New York Times is a national paper. True. Then check Wall Street Journal is a national paper. True. Finally, USA Today, false. So you define here, you define a function. You try to check each individual name of the paper's name, whether or not there's a national paper, and display the result. Yes, return. Yes.
I didn't really understand what's in the square brackets.
You mean the
Name equals name.
name equal name? Okay. Let's do it separate. Okay. X dollar name. This is it's a vector. Define all the name of the newspaper. So now we set up a equal sign. That means you compare. You compare each item of the vector to a character set you define. For example, New York Times here. So that means you compare NYT to the first one. If yes, return true. If no, return false. And then compare the second one and find yes or no. Third one, yes or no. That's, you find the result is true, false, false. Okay, if you change to Wall Street Journal, it's false, true, false, right? False, true, false. In case you define USA Today, false, false, true. So based on the false, false, true, so you define the X, the national, and put a bracket into it. That means you pick the true. False, false, true, the last one. The last one of the national that vector and return. So that means false. That means the last one. Basically, it's return the last one, false, of the vector. So that's why you can use this to return the name that match.
So by using the set square brackets, you're telling him to go check the national value only where
It's true.
only where the condition is true.
Right. That's why you see the last thing. Right. So in case you're not USA Today, your second one is Wall Street Journal. That means you get false, true, false, right? False, true, false. You can see the false, true, false. That means you pick the second. Second one is true. So return is true. Okay? Make sure you understand this part.
I want to add something.
Okay.
There is a file on Google called Iris, and there is a lot of exercise or demonstration on how this thing works. So if you still confused about how the data frame selection or logical vector selection, you can just run that file yourself and try to understand what is going on. Yeah, it is. We apply all those demos in the previous tutorial.
Okay, let's do a one step further before we move to some modification. Now, if you, okay, let me ask a question. If I don't type the things that is New York Times, USA Today, or Wall Street Journal, you click Apple Daily. So what will happen? Nothing. Because Apple Daily is not on the list. Right? So you return false, 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 right? All false. So you all false put into the X national and bracket and return nothing. You get nothing. Nothing. So it's not very good, right? We want to make sure you, no matter what you input, you can get the right result. So I want to make it that in case you type something, not New York Times, not Wall Street Journal, not USA Today, you return, I don't know. I just want to return, I don't know, rather than yes or no. So print something else. So that's, I modify the program a bit to check if the name you input is within the scope of the X, the name within the list. We want to check the condition first. We check in case you type something is New York Times within the list. If you type anything in Wall Street Journal within the list, and then you type USA Today within the list, and then do the pop. In case you type something not on the list, Apple Pay or Lightning, and then do the another one. That means you check to use the condition if else. You check the condition first, you satisfy the run. Otherwise, say I don't know. Okay? So that's I check the condition. You used if into the function of this function. If the name, okay, this is the one new command. Did we?
I introduced this one.
Okay, this is the way. This is the command to check if it's within, whether or not it's within. You check the name whether or not within the list of the name. For example, New York Times percentage X name, right? You choose true, right? Because New York Times is within the list. Wall Street Journal within the list. USA Today within the list. True. That means return it. But if you pick Apple Daily, false. It's not on the list. So this is a command to check if the name you input is within the list. If within the list, and then run the part we previously defined. Otherwise, display I don't know. So that's why we have this command at this part. If the name is within the X dollar name, within the list, yes, display the national, the part we defined last time. Else, I don't know. Let them know you don't know. The people know you don't know the result, or you are not on the list. So now, in case you define like this, you run. So now you modify the program. So if you typed this command, you see the new, the revised, you basically override the previous version. You have the newer defined functions here. So now you can run again. National paper, New York Times, true, right? Wall Street Journal, true. USA Today, true. But now, Apple Daily, false. I don't know. Return I don't know. New York Times, Apple Daily, or you have any others? What kind of newspaper? HKEJ. This is Hong Kong Economic Journal. I don't know. So anything you type not on the list, you return out. Then you don't have the logic zero that around like. Okay, this is the way you can define what you have. Okay, so now I want you to check, create a program to check if the circulation is within 1 to 3 minutes. If you input the name of the newspaper, and in case the circulation within 1 to 3 minutes, display true. Otherwise, display false. Okay? I want you to write a small program to check by input the name of the newspaper, but by return whether or not the circulation is within 1 to 3 minutes. If within 1 to 3 minutes, true. Otherwise, false. Do they know the end condition?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Between 1 and 3. Yeah, you need to test this condition. For example, let's look at simple. Okay. Larger than 5.
Okay, this is my program that try to address such task. So I define the name called between underscore 1 to 3 millions. So I keep the function and by input the name of the newspaper. So basically, I use the previous structures. We check the condition that whether or not the name is within the list. If not within the list, this way I don't know.
Do you know what?
If it's within the list, then we return the condition. If check whether or not the circulation is larger than 1 and smaller than 3, right? Within 1 to 3 means larger than 1 and smaller than 3, right? So that's, I define a condition that is, this is larger than 1, and remember this one, Hong covered in the last tutorial, n. n means a logical n. You see two logical condition check whether or not it's n together. So that means if the circulation larger than 3 and smaller, less than 3 and larger than 1. If both condition is yes, that return a yes. Do this. If anyone is not satisfied, maybe you larger than is larger than 3, even though it's smaller larger than 1, then return false. Do it. That means this is a condition to check within whether or not within the range of 1 to 3. With two comparisons. Within 1 to 3 means the number should be less than 3 and larger than 1, right? You need to satisfy both conditions. So that's why you define the n expression of this statement and the second one. And then return the combined result as the return of the function. Question? Which part you find? Okay, say it again. Basically, I changed nothing. I just only changed this part, right? This is the part I return. I want to check what I want to do to check if the circulation of the newspaper name I input, whether or not it's within the range 1 to 3 million. So within 1 to 3 million means you need to satisfy two conditions. One is less than 3. Second is larger than 1. That means 1 to 3, right? Within the range, 1 to 3. So that's why I put both check into one expression and put n between. Because n means you need to satisfy both. You need to larger than 1, smaller than 3. That's why I use the logical operator nn. This is nn. To combine the check into one expression and then return as a result. And then if you define the function like this, so you can see between 1 to 3 million New York Times, true, because it's 1.2 million. Wall Street Journal, false, because it's 3.4 million. For USA Today, false, because it's 5.6. It's not within the range. Okay, if you type something irrelevant, return I don't know. So these are all you define the function for this. Okay, let me move on because we have another in-class exercise for you. You can have practice this later. So the last command for tonight is what I call it L apply. This basically I can put it in the way that you do the same thing as for loop. Basically, you do the for loop. But now, L apply is doing in parallel, doing all at once. Not 1, 2, 3. We do all at the same time and return the result as the outcome. So you can look at the last slide 14, L apply. So L apply is the first part is very similar to for loop. For loop is you give one the index from a number to another number. So this part you define the range of number you want to pass to the second stage. And you define, for example, 1 to the number of rows of x, that means 3. So you ask you to do 1, 2, 3 in the following part. And the next part, you define a function. Define a function to for this number. So you define a variable I. So basically, this part is exactly the same as the for loop. This is for loop. And so, but now you use the function to define the second part. And then if you run this program, you will get exactly the same result you get from the for loop. But in principle, because it's operating in a different way. Is the L apply is execute in the parallel bank. We do it all at the same time. Rather than 1, 2, 3, 4. Now they all do it 1, 2, 3, 4, all at the same time. So you can see the result if you select this and run, we will return same result. But in the future, if you use this L apply command, you will see that something because the return is in a data type what we call the list. The list that we don't cover in this course. But and also functionally you get the same result as for loop. But this is for more advanced programming type in the future. So, but I just want to let you know, in good programming, a lot of people use LFI rather than use for loop. But for the beginner course, you can use for loop in this case. But for in the future, if you want to have more advanced, you can want to get a more faster computing result. We use a lot of this kind of parallel processing command, what we call LFI. But for in the coming in-class exercise, we don't need to do this. This is for more advanced. I just showed you.
You can use that.
You can use that, but this is for the future. In case you know how to use it, feel free to use it. But I expect you can. This is for something that basically is doing a loop in parallel. Okay. So now I think we still have 1 hour. I want to spend give you half an hour to 45 minutes to do a in-class exercise. Now I define another data frame. Okay, here data frame. I add 2 more newspapers in the data frame. But now I will define another variable called country. It's USA, Guardian UK, Apple Day is Hong Kong. So this is another data frame. I want you to create a function to display the country and the circulation information of the newspaper. by input the name. Put the name as input. If display a message, please enter again in case you find out some newspaper name is not on the list. Okay? So if the input name is not on the list. So I want you to define, create a function like this. So let's do it in half an hour. Okay? Do it now. So you can use all the tricks to learn function, if, and others to create this function. If you don't want to type it, you can cut and paste this from the.
Actually, it's
Oh, in the
the last part.
last one. Yeah, this one. put it in one state. You use the paste you can display the name, is the newspaper from which country, and have the circulation of all. We do one statement. We turn one statement to display all information. You can use the case 0.
And sometimes it gets stuck.
Oh, I state together. Right, yeah. Because you having some black, doesn't have to close back. And we get that. So you press the escape and the back will return back to normal and then press.
Okay, so really, if I say right, so this is presentation.
I don't need you to check the circulation, just display the name and the circulation information.
So how do I
Huh? Place 0 means you need to put the thing you want to display within the bracket. And use the quotation, open quotation to close it. You need to, circulation is one of the variable within a data frame. So you need to specify the name of the X right? So now you display the circulation. No, but this is a vector. You don't need to hold vector. You just a very specific item with the name equal to.
Oh, so name
You look at this.
So the what equal?
You look at the syntax.
Yeah.
So you basically keep this
Why?
the square black.
Why?
Okay. You type x x circulation. X circulation is a vector, right? X circulation is a vector. But now you don't want a vector. You just want one item within the vector. The item is exactly equals to the name. So that means you want to specify one item within a vector. You use the square bracket.
Oh, okay.
Square bracket and then find out the exact name. Yeah. There's so many brackets now. There's square bracket, large bracket, long bracket. Okay, now is specified in. So now you need to provide vector name for this index.
Before the page.
It was simple, this one. This is the X is their frame, it's the vector country, and the index is this one. So now you want to do it for the same thing, but for circulation, right? But the pace is not that. Yes. Now, okay, this part we specify the name equals to what you input, and the circulation is this is the circulation. This is the country name. So now you want to paste this one, put it in the one thing.
Before the
Right. Paste is the place, and then bracket, you can put one item, and then you combine and display. You can try it. You can try it in the command line. For example, place 0. I don't like. Okay, so you bracket, you combine all three things and display. So place 0, the item you put, comma, second item you put, comma, and then last. Okay? Question? words to describe. For example, you can say the newspaper name, New York Times, is a U.S.-based newspaper, and it has certain circulation.
How do I add?
You can put the text somewhere.
Anyway.
Yeah. Okay. For example,
Anyway.
place 0. New York Times is a country based newspaper, right? Right? And it has X circulation 1 million in circulation. Yeah, you can create a statement, something like that, to display all things in one thing.
After the place that I read.
Yeah, you put the appropriate text to describe what, because you display the number, you display US number, no one knows what exactly it is, so it's better to display in the statement like this. Okay, let's try. I will show you the solution in a minute. You try to do it yourself. I will give you another 15 minutes, or maybe 10 minutes.
You can try it without that. See whether
0 times.
And actually what is divided by inside square bracket. You don't want to display the sign. You can just yeah. Yeah, and then you might run that. You can always display example and like because field display. Yeah, because you always want to specify one. So what you you want to select.
Yeah, I understand, but I want to understand the logic behind that. So I know when I need to do this. Why?
Yeah, because if you put this one, you actually select that. You do it. Actually, you know.
Yes, vector.
With the name equal to that, what you going to display the according country.
Why?
What's there? You display logical reference. Okay, with only one item. You don't have first item. It is not equal to positive. Therefore, the result is false. Positional is equal to positive. So the result is true. USA today is not equal to positional, so the result is false. So it actually evaluates each item in your name. Right? Yeah, okay. And then you need to know what is going on. Okay, what is going on is right,
It will only show the one that has the most.
it will display the item that is true in this logic. You get it, right?
Okay. Alright.
You will select the data point. Yeah.
So I have to put this instead of the one that will.
Yeah, you will get it then. You
So
will get
it would.
it.
I just published that there.
I,
Same, I remember last time we combined the things in with different types. Which is to force them into one. Yes, but you need to give us some names, for example. The edge space. You see, you force them where they become a change the same time. That's why you can't get this better than that's case. And then give some sentence to make sense of all these names. Okay. Okay, let me show you. This is the result of the command. You can check.
yeah, so by default. And yeah. Yeah, and then, yeah.
So this is a result. Basically, you don't need to change anything. You just need to change the return and change the name. And return, you can combine the name, the country name, and the circulation name into one user page. So, and then you use different words to combine. Then you get the result. Oh, you better to put a space here. I missed a space. Yeah, put a space, and then run, and then. Oh, another thing is if you have a very long name, it's really hard to type everywhere. One simple thing is you can type the beginning part, and then you type the tab. You can display, you find the closest command here. So it's New York Times. New York Times is a US-based newspaper with 1.2. Wall Street Journal. And, for example, Apple Daily. If you type something irrelevant, and then I don't know. Okay? Done. Okay, good. So last thing, that's not a command, but I want to show you the way how to use other people's work. Because now you understand how to do a function. And basically, because ours is open source software, that means a lot of developers around the world have developed other package, other libraries using this kind of function to define their own function and share to the world. That means the beauties of using this kind of open source software is we can make use of other people's work. People open, make the library open, we can use our people's library, and then we can use their code, and then share the code, we can build on the other work and develop more things. This is the whole idea about the open source movement, that we share the other work. So that's why it's very important to know how to use other people's work, use the library. Some of the library people already develop. Okay, so I can do many statistical and data analysis. That you can see a lot of other packages, open source. That you can see other for text analysis, for some statistical thing, for display the network, to do some graphical presentation. There's a lot of others that you can explore. If you understand, you can search. Oh, you find out some online. If you understand the basic syntax of, and you can just read other people's reference manual and then use other slides. Okay, but now I want to show you how to use other library and import library. So I can do many statistical data analysis. They are they organize in what they call the package of libraries. With the standard installation, most common package are installed. And basically your version basically already has a lot of other installed packages. So how to get one library into our environment? Okay, now you better to use another side here. Okay, so you can see here, let's call package. So you click, you can see these are all the package already in our okay, sorry. If you want to use one, for example, if you want to use call which one? Graphics already. Florence, for example. Florence. This is to try to help you to read other data type. So you just simply click. You click. You can see here you have the command input the library into the memory. Then if you check, you can look at the library. You can use all the commands defined by this package in your future command. So, because next week I will show you the we use a package called Twitter. So basically, it's the way you use R to read the Twitter content into R, and then you do your own analysis. Now I show you how to install this package and try to use it. So, because if you check here, you can't see Twitter. We don't have it. So, but you can install here. You can click install, and then you can type the name. It's called Twitter. T-W-E-R. Twitter. And then type install. So after a while, you should see refresh. Yeah, you need to refresh. And then you can see some error. Fail. Cannot install.
Oh, because you are not online.
It's not online, but how about yours? Can you do it? My one is not online, but how about yours? Can you do it? No, 1 hour, not hour. Yeah. I think there's some of the setup problem. Maybe the locale. We fix it later.
No, the error is actually,
Internal server error.
yeah, there,
I think it's. I think you need to specify another.
yeah, and,
But let's fix this later.
yeah, maybe. To select,
Let's fix it.
okay, here.
I think it's some of the setup path issues that,
Change it to this one.
but you can't. No. Let's fix it later.
Okay.
Okay, we find a way to try to fix it. I think it's some setup issue in each of your computer, but
We will sort that out.
yeah, basically it's the way you install and type your name and install. But I think it's some setup path issue that we need to figure out. And then once you install, you can see it on the list here. And if you want to use it, you just click, and then you can use the command for this. So, or if you don't click, you can specify the library. For example, foreigns. Foreigns. This is another way. You command line. Try to use the library. So you can use the library for it. That already installed into the computer. Okay, but we will try to sort out how to install. But next week, okay, kind of a little bit about next week. Next week we try to do some new things. We will use the package of this Twitter to read Twitter's content to try to do some analysis or programming. Okay, and other things I want you to do. I want you to. Okay, everyone you have a Twitter account, right? Okay, make sure everyone you Twitter account because next time I will show you to use the Twitter developers account to get what they call the token, the API token. You need to make use of that token to use the access that our package. And also, I want you to do it before the class to apply. I will put this name into the Moodles, but I want you to do this registration before the class. Is to request a New York Times developer account. So I will put this link into Moodles, and I will send it to you later. So I want you to apply, request. You go to this and register here, and apply for become a member of the New York Times developer. So based on after you apply for this request, and then you can get a token from the account. And then next time I will use that token for our program. And also another one is Guardian. Guardian had the same request for API. So I want you to apply for this. Because of save some time for next class, I want you to do it before the class. So I will send the link to you through Moodles, and please make sure you get an account registered because you need to type some of the things, you need to confirm the email, so I want to save time. So that's why next week we'll do New York Times, we do New York Times API, get New York Times content, and then do analysis. Second, we should get guidance content and try to do a comparison to see, for example, Hong Kong, how Hong Kong was reported on New York Times and Guardian in the past. And then lastly, we do a social media analysis. We use Twitter to get the content from Twitter and do some simple analysis. For example, we can follow Occupy Center, some of the people there, get some information from Twitter and see some of the analysis. And for some blog, do some basic analysis. Do a small program. Okay, so this is for next week. But we need to sort out the tutorial, right? So tutorial is tomorrow. So Paul, now the time. So can you show them?
Okay.
I will send the link to you.
On the Moodle, there is a file called ax2.r. And this is the file for the assignment number 2. And yeah, it's also a good reminder for you all that the assignment 1 will be due in the midnight of today. So please turn in, or if you cannot finish it on time, please apply the extension before the midnight with me. And okay, let's talk about the assignment 2 first. After you download this file, the file is something like that. It has the questions and some code in it. What you are supposed to do is to write those code, complete those functions, and then turn in our file on Moodle. Okay. And actually, because you have 2 weeks to do this assignment, so this assignment is a little bit longer than the previous week. So it have 15 questions, but you have 2 weeks, okay? And some of them are very easy, some of them are very tricky, and but I want to give you a feeling of building up a big project from some small functions, because you're defining a lot of functions in this exercise. And for example, the question 2, the answer for question 2 is depending on your answer for question 1. So you are developing some small things and then combine them together to get the answer for the last one. I'm pretty sure that for your last question, you still need to use the function you defined in question 1. And yeah, as a ritual, like we do last time, let's try to do the question 1 or partially. Only part of question 1. Okay. Question 1 is about, remember the AQHI, right? The air quality index from the government. And the URL for those data set actually follow this pattern. What you are supposed to do is to define a new function called gen AQHI URLs with 2 arguments, the years and month, and then it will output a URL like this, with the YYYY substituted with the years, and MM substitute with months. Okay, let's try part of it. Okay, remember page 0. And this part. And then here, slash, year again, and month, and underscore English.csv. And let's try to run that and see what will be the answer. Okay. Gen AQHI URLs 2013. It seems to be correct, right? Because it's follows that particular pattern, right? But how about this? Let's say 2. Right? It's not correct because the month needs to be
Leading 0.
there is a leading 0.
Leading 0.
If the month is just a single digit. Okay? And what about this? It will still generate the URL, but it is not correct. It is not a correct URL. So, down there are some expected outputs, right? For example, 2014 as a year and 8 as the month, right? Your expected output should have the leading 0 here. If the month is less than 0 and larger than 12, it should raise an error. Okay. And I have put some hints here. There are some functions that you can use. For example, the paste or paste 0, whatever. And the second one is the string print with the format, or sprintf, and also stop. These 3 functions are very useful for you to complete the first questions. And I will try to explain what these functions do in the tomorrow tutorial. And one more thing. And let's say this one. This one is correct, right? You can actually assign the output from a function to a new variables. It will not display any. But when you try to call out the result of answer, it will display the result of the function. This is what a function is about. And yeah, after you can generate a function that can correctly generate some URL, you can actually use that to write another function that can read the data online using the method you learned last week, the week CS3, right? You learned that. Skip 7, something like that. And in the question 3, it's about cleaning up the data because the data online is very dirty. Dirty meaning it cannot be directly used for analysis. So you need to clean up those data. And it lists out the problem of the data and also some function that you can use to clean up the data. For example, substitution. And yeah. I hope that you can at least try question 1 to 3 at home. and maybe we will talk about question 4 onwards, or give you more hints about how to do question 4 onwards tomorrow. Okay, and yeah, this is for those who haven't attended the last tutorial. There are 2 files on the Moodle that we have tried last week. The first one is called the IRIS exercise. This file is very important because I demonstrate all the operation for subsetting or selecting the data from a data frame using this exercise. You can try that yourself and try to understand that. If you still cannot understand what is going on in this file, you may ask me. And this one, circulation barebone, is another file for you to finish the assignment number 1. For most of the question in assignment 1, you can just modify this file a little bit, just a little bit, to get the answers. Okay, and yeah, remember to turn the assignment before we yeah, that's all.
Okay, so see you tomorrow.